Hi folks, it's Claire. 1969, Lawrence Ferlinghetti's Tyrannus Nix. Now I know that Richard Nixon hasn't been the president in quite some time, so if you feel comfortable doing so, substitute his name for some other president. Nixon, Bush League president. This is a populist hymn to you and yours, and I begin with your face and come back to your face, for our history is noble and tragic like the mask of a tyrant, and the mask an actor wears is apt to become his face. Nixon, I saw your childhood home on TV. I saw your childhood face. It was the same face, the face of an adult America, the face we chose for America. The space race face, the race face, the face that sunk 1,000 sampans, the face we all love in the Geritol ads, and the face of the nation facing the nation on color TV, the electronic burner that replaced the log fire, the electric log, the gas log, in color with antenna up the chimney. We sit entranced by the burning images on the grid in the bright grate, the flickering faces in the crucible whose light intensity we can turn up to suit, whose vertical image we can adjust so that the lower half of your face matches the upper half of your face. What a groovy invention. Just what we needed. Old blunderbuss face, old circuit preacher face, American Gothic bold face with italic lips on the teleprinter. I've got to hand it to you, old family friend. Your face hasn't fallen apart yet, like some of your liberal presidential opponents. The slack lips and fallen chins betraying the higher ideals of the fine brow. You've held it together somehow, after your own fashion, or at least you put it back together in private. Americans love underdogs, and your jowls growled, old lion-hearted, but your eyes kept their curious focus. You beamed them on the fences, you aimed at the top bleachers and swung and swung and swung and finally connected with the sandbags loaded. You're off and running, and the ball is lost in the sun. Nixon, oh Nixon, will anyone catch it? Where will it come down, fair or foul? The Dodgers may win this year in the draft. The winds are extra strong in this park. A lot of old hands are ready to hang up their cleats, we hope. This is one national sport we hope is on the way out. The Whittier White Sox, we hope, are all washed up. It's time for a new umpire and a new Hall of Fame. Throw out a new ball and a new uniform and a new flag too while you're at it, and make the flag green this time instead of bloody red and black and blue. The national spectator sport shows more and more dark faces on TV. They can run faster and hit harder than anyone, and there's millions of them where they came from, over there, and they all look alike. You're hungry an hour after you eat one. Here they come. Blow their heads off. You may be live on TV. Telestar. Zap those. Nixon, I'm singing you this baseball diamond sutra from way out here in new left field in the International League. I'm keeping up the chatter as if we had to back you up for some strange reason. Aren't you actually as homey and honest as Uncle Ezra? Aren't you really the good guy at the filling station all my relatives voted for? Aren't you to be trusted after all these years during which nobody really trusted you? Aren't you just the man to buy a used war from? Is there a tiger in the tank? I mean, you'd tell us if it was really a bummer. You'd tell us if the automatic transmission was shot. You'd tell me if the tires were really retreads. You'd tell us if the warranty was phony. You'd not let us run out of gas a mile from the dealer. Would you, Tiger? Nixon, now that your team's taken the field, things are really tightening up out there, and there's no relief in sight for you or us. Although, it occurs to me that we are your relief if you'd only admit it. Mister, we've been warming up in the bullpen for a long time. I'd love to be your catcher for a while so I could send you some secret signals. Will you make some sign if you can read me? But I never saw a pitcher with a mask before. What have you got under it? That's what I've been trying to fathom ever since they brought you up from the minors. Did you learn that wind-up with the Whittier Quakers? It's the most deceptive ever seen in a World Series. A wind-up that gives away nothing and telegraphs nothing so that nobody still knows what's coming. We hope, not a fast change-up. One wild pitch and you've blown it. Your wind-up is so weird. Richard, poor Richard, this is your almanac to Golgotha, and we're your cross. Is it true you once went to a shrink to find out who you really were? I hope so. It doesn't mean you're sick. It means you just recognize the onion skin modern mankind. It is possible the new Nix now is not really the same old Nix. Is it possible for an old snake to learn new tricks? Between election and inauguration, you seem somehow to make an invisible effort to slough off the old snake skin. But the pattern of the old slippery scales kept coming through, and as you still managed to slither around the bases, touching all of them at once, and there are still at least 20 of them. Slide, Kelly, slide. Richie, oh Richie, I seem to be developing a real fondness for you in spite of your spots. Do you love me? How I'd love to be cheek by jowl with you, old buddy. How I'd love to get you in my encounter group and discuss inner space with you and find out what's behind that hog-jawed jughead mask. We land on the moon's inscrutable face, while yours is just as inscrutable. Maybe you're part Oriental. Maybe we could discuss far-out Eastern arts or poetry. Who's your favorite poet? John Greenleaf Whittier? I am thinking maybe it's actually possible to communicate with you. Wouldn't that be an unexpected development? I am thinking maybe it's not too late and not too early, and I'm naively curious. Why can't you just declare peace? You can do it if Allen Ginsberg can, and you can make it stick, old sticky dick. You could have grabbed the mic right after inauguration and blurted it out right there and then. I hereby declare the end of the war against youth. Think what a hero you'd be with the people. Or do you think people are a danger to the public? Whereas they are probably only transceiver mechanisms for some god, it occurs to me, old tricky dick, that it's probably still ye old red menace that's stopping you. Probably only someone fiddling with his mustache in a hopeless cellar. Oh, Nixon, Nixon, when you and your ghost announced that the American dream doesn't come to those who are asleep, I stayed up all night to see what or who would come. Some blue velvet eternity, or magic spring 1970, or maybe only West Point, New York, the American daymare and all its glory, American wet dream over you. And us riders on the earth together, above which our own Roman emperors of space are about to have to signal the end of the Christian era by finally proving your dear God existeth nowhere at all up there. God's long nose still not in sight anywhere up there, and the only God of life on earth is consciousness itself. And love, the fourth position in the whispered hush of dawn in endless fields of light. Nixon, oh, Nixon, I dreamt of myself curled up upon a big bed in the same position as my dog, head tucked under tail, sleeping and hiding from you. I don't know why exactly I'm telling you all this, except that the curled up image of self and dog is perhaps the image of paranoid America itself. The Vietnam albatross still hanging heavy round your neck Oh, Uncle Ahab and other overweight albatrosses still caught in the rigging of your ship, still voyaging continually abroad in search of monsters to destroy. Great white whales turning red in the international waters of paranoia where our free yellow submarine can't reach you. And you may lose your life like Ahab in strange China seas if you don't ever see we're all one and life flows within you and without you. Nixon. Ah, Nixon. I got the talking blues. I think I'll sing the green flag rag rather than the blood-spangled banner in the dawn's early blight. Do housewives dream of you? Are you sexy? How's your rig? Who can tell? And it's irrelevant anyway, except for what you might do by way of sublimation. Our fate depends upon which one of your fingers itches, and thy hand is fire. Nixon, Nixon, Enigma Nixon, your nowhere eyes tell the true story of America, and a picture of them is worth 1,000 false words. Are you a real man or a real machine with computer brain? Are you the 55-year-old virgin, or are you the Machiavelli smiling? I think you've still got that infectious pink eye you caught on the Un-American Committee, what with your Yahoo cohorts and now conducting the Nazification of California and other campuses. I heard you plainly tell them on TV to get a little tougher, to get a little rougher on campus, and the next day they murdered one of us to show how tough. Thank you, Tyrannus Nix. Let him be laid at your door. You waved your soft white hand, and the trigger moved unknown to you, yet it moved. Down the toilet chain of command, the blue meanies are your real army. Oh, my commander-in-chief, Nixon. Nixon, the revolution is coming. The TV is burning. Its one-eyed imbecile head is winking with terror. They're using the same footage for the war as for the soap opera, with the same sponsor. The third world is still coming at us over the hill. You don't need spy planes and ships to see it. You need a third eye in the middle of your forehead. You've got one, and you don't know it. There's a mystic eye in the detached top of the pyramid on the reverse side of the American dollar, on the reverse side of the Great Seal of the United States. It occurs to me the distance between the detached eye and the broad base of the establishment is the generation gap itself. You don't have a clue how to use that eye, and maybe even think you're supposed to watch us with it like Big Brother through our TVs down here in the dollar's green desert. It occurs to me it is also watching you, old Nix. It occurs to me it also sees a minotaur at the heart of the labyrinth, which is the Pentagon, while outside its eyeless walls, citizens without hats wind their white string as Buddhists burn, and the air is shaken with light. Nix. Oh, Nix. This morning, by the 3rd Street Bridge on the San Francisco waterfront, I saw a black ship loading barbed wire for Vietnam. The huge rolls of it lay on deck with army tags attached. By night, they were rolling over the sea. Do Quakers love all sentient beings? What kind of weird quacker are you, anyway? Like on the Quaker Oats box? Don't rock the Mayflower, don't wear sandals, avoid scandal, batters up and pull me a homer into the right field daisies. Only if you run for me, 'cause I'm too old for all that. Have a good trip, my son, and we'll vote for you, my son, my son. Nixon, Nixon, burning bright in the forest of our night, did he who dug the lamb dig thee? And will the lamb follow you? What the ball, what the chain, in what freezer was thy brain? I am trying to figure out what, if anything, makes it tick and turn over or on. I'm not saying you have the mask of a tyrant. It is not anything but a huge question mark at this point. I know your hometown was run over by a freeway, like the lost hometown of every American transplanted heart. I got lost on the cloverleaf and never found it, but I know it actually exists. It's the state of mind of America, made of 6 supermarkets, 4 drive-ins, 16 filling stations, and a college where they taught what you learned. Quakers don't believe in quakes. Frozen soul of America, who will cling to the wreckage? Nixon. Oh, Nixon. The leaves are green in Whittier today. But as every poet who has just discovered the word ecology will tell you, DDT is killing the pelicans, and their ecosystem is our own Hudson River, related to Hunters Point and Colorado River, emptied into the Viet Cong Delta. Zap those won't win. Nixon. Nixon, black power's at bat, and I sit in the white bleachers eating Cracker Jack and reading the whole newspaper column by column, trying to discover where you're really at. A hero with 1,000 faces, none of which fit. Every head has got you in it, and now, old swivel head, I read the stories and find out nothing. Eisenhower is dead, and Nixon sails alone around the world. Nixon says this, and Nix says that, but what, as usual, does he himself believe, if anything? Will he grant the serpent free speech? Freedom is no breakfast food, and concentration camp USA is not a poetic image, though this psalm be fraught with freedom. Nixon, sweet Nixon, have you had any sweet dreams lately? Have you had your 5 dreams per night? Have you ever looked them up in Freud to find out whose end is up? Or do you prefer astrology, which enables us to believe that the fault is not in ourselves, but in our stars? It occurs to me, if you had any mystic tendencies, you'd probably go for Gurdjieff, Ayn Rand, or Scientology, or some other psychic authoritarianism. Let us eat light. But a cock's cry doesn't open the sun. You're probably full of hostilities behind that Ed Sullivan smile. And how come your face reminds me of the face of a pickpocket who meets a saint and sees only pockets? And how come your face reminds me of the face of a man who picks you up hitchhiking in a sunny central spot and then lets you out in the desert at night? How come there seems to be a no man's land and a no woman's land between thee and us on TV? And how come you can't ever speak for yourself without reading it? When I took my orals, I had to. But maybe Quaker plain speech ain't so easy as all that. I finally begin to realize that you are a very strange man, Mr. Jones. Not too strange, I hope. Like when you announce, we only warn once. It's a bit too bad you don't know how to dig those bumper stickers. Flying saucers are real. The Air Force doesn't exist. And we are the people our parents warned us against. Oh, are we lost in our Sun Ra boat? Nixon, I keep cutting back to your face as if it's all we've got to go on. Mon General once said in a Kennedy, he saw the smiling mask of America. But in Colonel Cornpone Johnson, he saw the raw face of America itself. And I am thinking, old slick dick, in you, we finally see no face at all behind the Great Seal of the United States. We see an index of the night. Poets, in their sad likenesses, can't help you, dead-eyed Dick, but if you want to open the door to a room with a lot of other doors, why don't you open the doors of perception? You've got a free airplane. I want you to take a little free trip, a little trip with Alice. I'll lend you my cabin in Big Sur so you can sleep out under the pulsars, meditating answers. It's too bad you're not addicted to that inner place. Have you ever tried the full lotus position? I can't do that either, but you'll have to take off your establishment shoes to try it. You're not so much older than I, but about 5 generations apart. Why is it Presidents have to be flying mummies in dying trajectory who never could make it at the Fillmore Auditorium or Zen Mountain Center. I'm not ready to join you, Daddy, with your honorary membership in the FBI. Oh, the vast, sad camp which is Washington. Nixon, oh Nixon, joy begat joy. Love begat love, and hate begat hate. And these are the strophes and antistrophes of ecstasy and despair in this strange eclogue to you. But I'll not be your Virgil, heralding you a modern Emperor Augustus who recognized the empire's natural limits and forthwith withdrew all armies overseas pronto, thus bringing the age of iron to a clanging close. Oh, Daddy, you're a legionnaire on the wall of the farthest reaches of empire, looking out at the darkness and not recognizing the limits. One would think the wind still whispered Latin phrases when whoever wrote our dollar bill took its not-so-mystic motto from Virgil's messianic eclogue, but conveniently skipped the part of the prophecy about the way the age would end in fire. O Emperor, the world's great age begins anew. Our iron brood will cease, and the serpent die forever as a new race of long-haired golden progeny descends from on high in Jefferson airplanes. Oh, Quaker King, I hope you do not turn out still to have the Jupiter complex with the idea that you can win all war if you throw enough Thunderbirds. I hope he's not you in disguise, old Nick. There's a great doom-shaped gray bomb head in the sky. Its mouth is made of merde, and it's saying humanity and love. The lights are burning late in the Kremlin these nights, trying to exercise that same head which they see over them too. A huge, paranoid vision of imagined hate and fear, while still in Moscow tonight, there's music on Borodin Bridge, and even tonight, love slides down the side of the streets. Oh, dreams of sweetness of face, oh, words like traces of love will build our new society on the vacant lots of the old. Nixon, oh Nixon, I'm not asking you to turn and live with animals. I'm not asking you to commune with trees, although what times are these when a conversation about a tree is almost a crime because it contains so many silences about so many crimes? I'm not asking you to squat and chant the great Pranja Paramita Sutra, although you might get high and learn why rivers only run one way. It's an Oriental secret which might give you a clue to the geopolitics of Vietnam. I'm not asking you to displace your second-hand God. I'm not asking you to eat your fig leaf. I'm just asking you if you actually believe you can serve the people and the state at the same time, or serve liberty and authority at the same time, or tell the truth and lie with the same mouth. Will you ever invite the Living Theater to your house? They might help you pretend to be yourself on TV. So lonely it hurts. Probably always a loner. The kid on the block who always hung around the edges of the crowd, wishing he were the white-haired boy enrolled at Harvard at age 1. Vice presidents are lonely, and you were vice consul forever, and probably all the time longing to be loved by the same people who loved and hated Kennedys. Yes, you're lonelier and stranger the longer I look at you in all the disguises of your face. Stranger and stranger, said Alice. Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are both dead now, and look who turns out to be hamming it. But let us pray, the rest will not be silence. Nixon, oh Nixon, when I saw you on TV last night again, stumbling through Vietnam, you just didn't look like you believed who you were. Like as if it were all a strange, mad dream. You were lost in moving through the motions of some nightmare in which you suddenly found yourself in your pajamas, in front of 5 million tea ladies, worried whether something was showing down there. Military might must be disguised to be effective. It occurred to me that your warhead was showing. My poet's shadow, stitched to thee, won't stand many more such speeches. I had a weird feeling you were speaking in a completely empty room, alone, with nothing but the war machine like a toy behind the pulpit. In another age, you would have been a Methodist preacher. In this one, you're a real low priest. You're a true record of where winter is today. Nix, oh Nix, the original fighting Quaker with your wasp's nest on Plymouth Rock, rigged with pioneer-era guidelines and a great leap backwards into a new Union military industrial dark ages with far-out multimedia scenes of mass paranoia as in Hieronymus Bosch, death and sensuality weathered in buggering napalmed natives and or off-color students' clitorises quivering in the ultimate orgasm of death. I salute thee, national plot of our destinies in Air Force One. I salute thee, mass murderer by complicity. While there is a strung-out soul in Santa Rita prison, I am not free. While there is a napalmed class, I am of it. I raise my middle finger to you, smiling supporter of benevolent imperial nationalism built upon political falsehoods which still rule Washington, D.C., and which you and every other politician and president, including Kennedy, were too political not to inherit. Don't call me on your red telephone. War is good business. Invest your son. Nixon, oh Nixon, I stayed up all night writing this to thee and thine. I saw the dawn come up over San Francisco. The Bay Bridge lights sparkled in the first dawn. A dawn wind was rising. The guard was changing in the Presidio Mutiny Stockade. Somewhere, a Justice Department or FBI hi-fi repairman was bugging a Berkeley Barb editor. At City Hall, they were celebrating the 1906 earthquake. Emperor Alioto and his black urban affairs director, whose name was actually Rebel, were very much in evidence. But the evidence was all against a quake. It just wasn't going to happen here. No shake up here. No revolution either. I have my director to see to it. Souls on ice won't melt. Nixon! Nixon! It was a long, long night. And now I'm flying across the swinging rock face of this America between the stiff wings of a metal bird, still writing to you, although I have a weightless feeling you're not giving me much attention. Oh, flappy tongue, give us some sign you hear us, except that so baleful simile of a smile. I'm not asking you to solve my personal hang-ups or pathological problems, or I'll blow up the plane and take it to Cuba's Territorio Libre, although it might be a gas to let you out at Havana Airport where you'd have to drink Cuba Libre and look Fidel Castro in the eye and tell him without the benefit of electronic aids that your government does not believe his truths, while a lizard crawled out of your eye. But our pilot now points out we're passing right over the Rock Candy Mountain, not too far from the Great Salt Lake, and I look down into the astonished heart of North America in the first blink of light. It occurs to me you've flown this route so often you don't even look down anymore at the great, hard, sweet tit of America, above which tyrant birds still catch their prey on the wing. I hope you're not one of that still extant species. Your land is my land, but the cleavage down there is too great to be sexy, and the golden spike was driven by. We wouldn't want you to fall into the sweet and sour sauce. We won't put rock salt on your tail. Yet. But hurry, hurry, we can't hold our breath forever. We don't have to accept forever the porno facts of death. Oh, Nixon, Nixon, I've cycled through your America and through my America. I have seen the faces. Now, let us praise unfamous men, the people. Yes and no, including Indian chiefs and tyrants, queers, kings, housefrows, athletes, parents, policemen, bosses, soldiers, sex offenders, Jewish newspapermen, long-haired students, and Thule Kupferberg. I see we're all demented remnants of light and ecstasy, derelicts in time trying to reconstruct with only faint recall a lost message. Peace, music, love, revolution, joy. This is the first day of the rest of your life. This is your safe conduct pass. There is nothing to fear, for nothing is the only thing to fear, and nothing the only thing to fear in a face. I've hitched back and forth across the face of America looking for a face. I once rode a freight from Joplin to Chattanooga and saw your face on a siding. It was the face of the yard dick busting the sterno bums. I was a college kid and thought it was fun. The whole world was a fraternity raising, but now I remember the face in the dark by the tracks, the dark jowls, the hard eyes like yours. Oh, American dick. The eagle flies today, brandishing olive branches and thunderbolts. Which will you drop on us? Nixon, oh Nixon, now is the time for the seventh inning stretch. So let us still hope there'll be some joy in Mudville tonight. Walk softly and carry a big wick to light the lights of the world, for the river of light is within us. Walk softly and bury the big stick, for the world might still end in a Freudian slip. Oh, ho, ho, slippery dick, oh, goy golem of all our dreams. This really isn't addressed to you. It's a curse and a cry to any old president or any old general or any assassin or lover who happens to be running things by the time this is printed. So good luck, golem of all our days. I have nothing more to lay on you unless you have something more and different to say to me. Good luck, sweet rock candy dreams to you and yours. You might yet learn to unmask yourself. You might yet move the magic Moloch mountain with its misplaced eye. The lotus might yet open and open into the very stoned heart of light. The void of serenity might yet prove not too strange for the mind of man. We are daily faced with the miraculous, and the air is electric with hate, and the air is alive with love, and we are charged with loving you too.